Welcome back to the race shop. Hey, thank you for joining us today. If you followed our videos at all, normally this is about the time I would be saying, hey, welcome back to the shop. We're working on the hot rod today, and here's the project of the day when we talk about some semi-technical stuff anyway. But that is not today. Today's a little different deal. In fact, if you watch our videos, you probably haven't seen me wear headphones. I'm kind of freaked out about it myself, too. So it takes a little getting used to, but hopefully both of us will. So let me tell you what we're doing here today and what the purpose is and who our guest is today. A couple of years ago, I was, ironically, out in a parking lot out in East Salem in my truck, and it was pouring down rain, which in Oregon means it was a Thursday. And I had this idea, like, oh my God, I know a bunch of people in racing over the years. I mean, because this is so embarrassing because it tells you how old I am, but crap, I've been racing at this level since, well, I got licensed in 96 in the alcohol dragster, which didn't go real fast, but it was called an alcohol dragster. That was good enough for then. So my point is, I've been doing this a long dang time. And so I've worked with a lot of people, and the majority of them are really good. There's a couple that I don't really want to see them again, but the majority of folks are awful good people. And over time, man, we had so many crazy things that happened that you look back and go, oh my God, I don't even know how we survived that, let alone why the hell we did that, but we did. So I had all these people that I knew and stories and stuff we'd done, crazy stuff we survived, don't even know why we did it. And a lot of it's really stinking funny, at least it is to us, but maybe we've had enough cocktails that anything's funny then, I don't know. But I had this idea. So I called a couple people. I started calling Jerry Darian. We're good friends, and said, hey, what do you think of this idea? If I were to come up with a way to interview you, maybe we could go back and tell some stories. What do you think of that? And he thought it was a pretty good idea. I called Garrett Bateman, who drove my car 100 years ago, which means he's old too, and talked to him. And he got, as we say, up on the tire about that. Thought, oh, God, that's a really good idea. We should do that. Well, that was 2 years ago. And some ideas, like a fine wine, take time to age well, and we're going to presume and pray that that's what this is. But now we're a couple years down the road, and Garrett has been banging on me, when are we going to do this, when are we going to do this, when are we going to do this? I'm like, oh, crap, okay. So I started working on this in earnest, I don't know, a month ago or so, because I knew we had this 3-race stretch going on where we're going to have Trevor up here. We're going to be running the Woodburn Regional doubleheader, and we went to Seattle and then back to Woodburn for a night of fire race. And so I thought, well, we got this time. Let me get this set up. So Super Tech Sean and Sean is on the other side of the camera and the microphone's over there, making sure all this stuff works. And editing out the fire engine that just went by, screaming its lungs out. Hope everybody's okay. And so we started ordering stuff to set up a pseudo studio here. And I thought, let's do a dang podcast, and let's see if I can make this work and make it mildly entertaining. So I started putting this stuff together. Trevor comes up. We do our racing. And I thought during the middle of that, crap, he's going to be here for 3 or more weeks. There's going to be gobs of time we can do this podcast deal. So my idea was, my best plans were that we would do this in a late afternoon, early evening deal, and we would have our favorite cocktail, and we'd share a couple drinks, and everybody's having a good time. That was my plan. It's not exactly how it worked out, because, oh my God, we'd keep having to work on the car with challenges and challenges. So the time got away. So I thought, okay, we're at the Night of Fire race this past weekend. Today is Sunday, I think. And had a good time, sold out crowd. God, there's a lot of people there. It was awesome. Anyway, I thought, well, crap, we'll have time on Saturday. Yeah. So Trevor and I can run back to the shop on Saturday because we're racing at night. We got all day Saturday. What could possibly go wrong with that? Well, I can tell you, we had a problem with the generator on the car. It took a while to diagnose, and there was no time. Well, now the problem is Trevor's going home, and I said, by God, we need to do the first podcast with Trevor and I, which means I need Trevor because I didn't want to do the first one with the Zoom deal. I wanted to do it live. And so last night, God, we got done, and it was not early. And Trevor wants to get on the road to go home, bless his heart. He needs to get home. So I said, so Trev, what would you think of coming in Sunday morning to do this? And it was late. And bless his heart, he said yes. So our inaugural guest is who it should be. It's the Trevor Larkin driver. Thank you for joining me today and being willing to postpone your trip. I'm sorry, but this is not the way I had it planned. It was supposed to be in the evening where we could have a drink. In fact, one of the ideas was that for whoever our guest was, as we've talked about a little bit even this morning, was that their pit pass to get in here into this program would be show up with your favorite drink, whatever that is, and if it's a whiskey, that's great. If it's my favorite vodka, which is back there, that's great. And if it's Dr. Pepper, if that's what they like, I don't care, whatever it is, but that's your cost to buy the pit pass to get in here. And we thought, well, that's kind of a cool idea. So Trevor grabbed some of his. The challenge is it's Sunday morning, about 10:30 in the morning. Well, yeah, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere, as they say. But I can tell you that it was really late by the time I went to bed, and it was for Trevor too. So we may talk about the drinks today. I don't know if we're going to be able to enjoy as many as we'd like to, but that was the concept, to tell some stories and have a good time. And I realized that between me and Garrett and Trevor and other friends, we know a lot of folks that are way more famous than I am, because I'm not famous. I'm infamous, but that's a different thing. And so I talked to Trevor, said, hey, what would you think about doing this? And we chatted about it, and share some of the folks that were crazy enough to say yes, they might consider coming on doing this.
When you put it in my radar, my problem is whenever you give me something, a little tidbit of, hey, what do you think of this? I'm that quarterback you just gave the ball to, and I'm already got 19 options.
Right, so I turn around and like, well, where the hell are you?
Yeah.
It's way downfield already.
I don't want to be a name dropper, but I've got some cool current and former Top Fuel people that are said, yeah, we'll come to your.
It's crazy.
They'll do it via Zoom mostly.
Yeah, because I'm probably not going to fly them up here.
So this is our pilot, call it, of this podcast.
Right.
So we'll figure out the kinks and figure out the what worked, what didn't, that kind of stuff, to see how to make it evolve for the future and make it something cool that where it doesn't just stick to drag racing, but yet drag racing is our wheelhouse, so we'll stick in that world before we venture out into other stuff.
Right.
But it would be cool. We have some cool names coming in. Some of them are in current Top Fuel, contingency for, high ranking in the modern day, the current Camping World Tour. So I don't want to name drop. I don't want to be committed to, oh, you said so-and-so is going to be there. They're not. Well, that's why I'm gonna plead the fifth on this, but stay tuned for future stuff.
Yeah, because if you follow Nitro Drag Racing, you're gonna know these folks. Yeah. There's some big names, and I was honored that they would consider to come on and talk with me. But I want to make, from the original idea, it was to be real, it was to be authentic. I'm never going to be a Joe Rogan. I get that. I'll never be a Bill Maher. Don't even want to be a Bill Maher. But nonetheless, he's very talented. But part of the idea was that what made them successful was their authenticity, that they're not putting anything on. What you see is what you get.
Right.
And by God, that's what we are. That's what we've always been. And that's what this will be, is real.
Yeah.
So we're not going to sit around and talk smack about everybody, but we're not going to lie either. That the good, the bad, and the indifferent, and it's just what we do. And I think that has some entertainment value. That's the hope. That's our goal, is that you want to watch. You want to be. You would like to have a chair, by God, and we'd love to have a chair right here and be listening and telling these stories with us and laughing your arse off with us. That's what I wanted to develop.
Love it.
So I had this room here at the international headquarters for commercial business machines, the company we've owned, Robbie and I have owned for 31 years now, a long time. And we just don't do things the same way now as we did 31 years ago. Big shock. So I had this room. I thought, well, crap, let's set it up here. And so here we are. So we've got other ideas and stuff to come, but this is where we start. So here we go. So to tell some stories, I want to start with, why in the world would you be crazy enough to get into drag racing? I mean, it's unbelievably hard work and expensive. And what is wrong with you?
Well, my dad didn't take up sailboating, so that's kind of where I fell in. Every kid wants to be like their first hero is their dad. Excuse me a second. Wow.
Yeah,
first hero is their dad.
It was a late
Yeah.
night.
I literally grew up at the track. It was something fun that was a father and son thing to go do. That before I had my middle brother, it was just Dad and I.
So
I'm the oldest. Yeah,
Yep,
there's three of us: Trevor, Travis, and Troy.
Right.
Excuse me, late night.
Yeah.
So drag racing just became
What your family did.
what my dad and I did. Yeah, and then my aunts were out there. My aunt Barbara was through my mom's side of the family. Like, she dated drag racers and married one, and then divorced one and dated other. Like, so she's very well known,
Right.
Positively in the world, because she crew chiefed funny, for Tim Gross, for guys that were
Really?
the
That's great.
cream of the crop back in the 80s, late 80s. That it's pretty cool. People go, you're how do you know Barbara? I go, oh, that's my aunt. They go, Barbara's your aunt? And then people, I have different friend circles that are like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's funny how many, like, one person's name can open doors and windows for you.
Yeah. So how in the world did your dad get in? Do you have any idea how that started?
I do. So there's a guy named Dave Wallace, who's a very famous photographer down in Southern California. So Dave and his family, they went to a Catholic church, and they were neighbors with my grandmother and my father and my aunt. So my grandma was a single mom from my dad's age 10 on. My grandfather, my dad's dad, passed away when my dad was 10.
Oh, wow. That sucks.
So my dad basically grew up without a father.
Right.
So this family that was next door became a surrogate family to take Tommy under their wing. And, hey, after Mass every Sunday, we go to San Fernando Dragway.
Really?
And if he wants to come with us sometime, he can come with us.
Drag racing.
They went to
I'll
the
be
early. They went to the early
service,
Mass.
yeah.
So they were done by 8:30.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
And then my dad would have his little sack lunch, and he'd pile in the station wagon with the other 6 kids that were going, and you can get a whole car in for $8 or whatever it was back in the 60s.
So, okay, so I introduced him to sport.
He was made most of his name in Top Gas. Now, Top Gas was Top Fuel was Top Eliminator back then.
Yeah, this has been a day ago.
It's been when my dad passed away, I kind of got schooled in how many cars he had, what the different classes were, who
Right.
he was partners. And if you do your history homework, it was Stone, Woods, and Cook. It was Keatings and Clayton, or like that. It was always someone and someone. Usually it's
Black.
you own the car, I own the motor.
Right,
you own
right.
this, I own that. Like,
Right.
it was the so-and-so and so-and-so, or
Right.
there's 3 names.
Yep.
So that was the way that drag racing was. No one could afford to do it by themselves.
Yeah.
You still can't afford to do it by yourself.
it's
It's
pretty
always a group effort of 1, 2, 3, 4 people, because sponsors weren't what they are now.
No.
In the 60s.
No, of course not.
Most of the cars were one color, and they started getting elaborate with the multicolor.
But I remember hearing the stories. I mean, what my experience in drag racing is a little different. My dad had a car too. But the point is, I remember hearing the stories that back in the day when they would have whether it's a fuel car or not, but they run the Hemi, and they'd go out and destroy a motor, which was not then a Brad Anderson block or Alan Johnson block. That's not what it was. And so they got crap we needed the block, and they go to their own junkyard.
Pick your part, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And buy a factory Chrysler Hemi block.
A lot of the guys that do these cackle fests and stuff, these cars that are coming back alive and being reborn because of this cackle craze, they're running old steel blocks, steel heads, steel stuff. These are like the original stuff from back then.
But what kills me is they were going through that stuff like poop through a goose, like there was an endless supply of these Hemis, and they used them up largely, and now you go, oh my God, would that be cool to be able to go out there and for $50?
Yeah, go to a junkyard and
oh my God, that'd be awesome.
take things you need off of a what used to be a car.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way anymore. I think all that's gone. But anyway, so we've evolved where all the stuff we use now is all specialty aftermarket stuff, so don't use any factory stuff. But those were just interesting days.
Is there a big cackle
community up here?
Up here, yeah.
I don't think so.
No.
Everything I know about it is all Southern California when I'm down there.
Southern California is the birthplace of drag racing, so it has
course.
that. It has that.
Speaking of authenticity, that's
yeah.
where it came
That's
from.
exactly.
In fact, we're going to tell a little story about that in a minute. We got some pictures here.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Steve Gibbs, of former NHRA, he has
Mucky
something
Muck.
new that has kind of parted ways from the NHRA. It's his own deal with him and Cindy and a couple other people. It's called the Nitro Revival. It's the new Cackle Fest. The whole event is at Irwindale Speedway. It is
Does
just...
that still exist?
It's a new one. There's a new Irwindale Speedway.
okay.
It's an 8th mile. It's tiny.
Oh.
But there's a drag strip, an oval track, and then I think a dirt track. I've only been there a few times. But they do a Nitro Revival. It's I think I counted 60-plus cackle cars all running at one time.
16?
60.
No way.
Zero.
Oh
60.
my God.
It's such a cool event.
That is cool.
If you haven't, you should come down and just be I know it's not easy for you to be a spectator at a drag race.
That's right.
But it's fun to do these kind of things
I'd love to do that.
to go see and this living history
It
walking
is,
around.
it is.
A lot of the top fuel guys of today and crew chiefs and they come to this event and just to rub elbows with the people that are also there. It's amazing that the walking history that is literally in line with you at In-N-Out Burger.
Right.
They bring out the In-N-Out Burger trucks and
Right,
stuff that
right,
come
right.
come right to it. It's amazing to see, like, going, oh my God, I just had a burger with Don Perdome.
Right,
there's
right.
cool stuff that's all right there.
See, I've been down to Bakersfield for the March meet, and I kind of got that same feeling there. That was very similar.
Yeah.
That everybody seems to go there, whether it's current folks or certainly the folks that started all this stuff, and the history is amazing. And the thing that I shouldn't say it this way, but the thing that kills me is, crap. Every year, every month, almost like we're losing these folks. It's kind of like the World War II vets, you know.
Yeah.
You know, God,
We're getting to that point where they're. And I told
dying off.
a
It's
friend that works with
horrible.
NHRA's media type stuff. I go, you guys need to get your cameras and do it through Fox, do it through NHRA, do it through whatever. Sit these people down. Let them tell you stories.
Right.
These guys have forgotten more than we'll ever know,
God,
and
yes.
they're all their stories are in their
Yes.
heads.
And they die with them.
They do.
Yeah. So I just hate that. I also don't like that a lot of these guys that have had awesome businesses that are in racing one facet or another, and there's not a way to carry that on to the next generation. To whether it's my son or somebody else is going to take over the business. When they pass, the business is gone with them.
Right.
And I hate that.
Right.
Oh my God. The heritage we have in this, the people who've done this, and we're talking about there's a lot of folks. Megara is another one. Okay,
Yeah, the wings.
Yeah,
Yep.
made the awesome wings, but there was no path to continue the business on. So when he passed, so did his business.
Right.
And I know Jerry had wings on order from him that I don't think he ever got.
Oh.
Yeah, so now what? You know,
Right.
I mean, bless his heart, but he's still dead. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking of Pete Jackson with the barrel valves. Maggie doesn't want to be part of this anymore. Yeah, I understand. I feel bored most of the time myself. So, but I can remember early on in my racing having an issue, something to do with fuel, and I called down there to his shop, and he answered, and he was very helpful. but the first question he asked me was, how well is the car funded? And I said, oh, God, it's such a barrier. I barely have enough money to do this. He goes, all right, thanks for your call. See you. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. I said, I don't have a trailer full of parts, but what I do have is when my car takes the starting line, it's got the best of everything on it. And I heard this pause, and he goes, all right. And so we kept talking, and he gave me some info, and it was very authoritative. It wasn't like, well, I'm not really sure. He knew his stuff. He was on his game. So I'm writing as fast as I can. Like, oh my God, so many cc's per turn and how much fuel, and like, oh my God, this guy's really bright. So he passes, and now who's going to make barrel valves? And so Darian picked this up, and I know he told me with who, and I should remember, and I'm sorry I don't. But Jerry didn't do the machining, but he was part of this process that we need barrel valves to do what we do. And so they picked that up. I know that they're available. I just apologize, I don't remember his name. But that's the point, is this heritage of stuff goes away. Crap, we were just talking this weekend about crankshaft stuff, and I deal with Henry Velasco and have for a long time. But this sounds so morbid, but I swear every time I call down there, I go, oh, dear God.
Please answer.
Please answer.
Please answer.
Yeah, and he did. And I go, yeah, score one more time.
2 weeks ago, was it 3 weeks ago now? I've been up here a month.
Yeah.
Almost. It's all blurring together. Ed Iskandarian, Iski Cams, had his 102nd birthday.
We were in the tower down at Pomona last year.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, and he was there. Okay, and he's got this gal that was kind of his handler, and I don't remember her name. But anyway, just making sure that he got around where he needed to go. But they were talking about this party that was coming up. And I thought, God, it'd be so cool. But we got a picture taken with him, and Keith was there with us. He works on our car, and he owns a camshaft business, so he got his picture taken with Ed.
It was father camshaft.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, dear God, this guy's forgotten more probably at this point.
So I went down there one time, and he was giving me a tour.
When was this? Years ago? Or?
2 years ago.
Okay.
The shop is in such a controlled chaos mess, but he knows where everything is.
Old school stuff.
Every 10 feet, there's a ashtray full of cigar butts.
And he's 102.
He's 102. He eats a pound of bacon a day and smokes about 10 cigars.
Jeez.
Maybe I'm not doing life right. Maybe that's the trick to staying alive for this stuff man, I was just in awe. But he was giving me the tour. We walked by a younger kid that was doing cam on a machine, and he did a double take and kind of stopped my friend and I that were on the tour. And he goes, hold on. He goes, hey, you're doing this wrong. He stopped and he just
really
passing at his.
Jeez.
It's only 2 years ago. He's 100 then.
Crap. That's just mind-boggling.
He saw that he was doing this wrong, and he corrected this younger. I say young kid. He's probably in his 30s. But he was fixing. He was fixing the way he was doing something with something on the machine.
Wow.
And I'm like, how did you spot that?
Yeah, no kidding.
But that goes again with he's forgotten more than we'll ever know and be taught from it.
Yeah. So it's just cool to have been around some of these people and that started all this stuff 100 years ago, and it's just really cool. So it just kills me that we're losing them.
Yeah. Unlike what we're talking about in the story, like he does have a whole business built, and his kids are involved. They do run the business.
So it'll carry on, of course. Yeah. So that's very different in that regard, and that's obviously a great thing because they've got great products that have been refined over not just decades, but God, lots of years. Like, God, we don't want to lose all this. So that's cool. Obviously, that's a big going concern business. Let's talk about some of the cars you've driven, because you've driven more than mine.
I've driven. I got my license in a super comp car with Doug Foley's drag racing school.
That's right. When was that?
That was.
We don't have any pictures of the drag racing school and super comp car, with all possible respect. Super comp cars.
I don't. It was called Pure Speed. Doug Foley offered it. I did it in Las Vegas. That was my favorite track. It was the place that they offered it, so I went and did it. I did it in 3 passes or whatever it was that they.
Okay. So we're just
back then.
Scroll through some pictures.
I went from the super comp car, literally 1 month into a nostalgia funny car.
Wow.
I just needed my license quickly,
right?
Because a guy says, "Oh, I have a funny car. You want to drive it?" Yes. How do I do this? I know it's not a nitro car, but how do I do that? It's in my progression. He goes, "Well, we're gonna put it had a 426 kb alcohol motor in it, Keith Black alcohol motor."
Yeah.
So we'll run it in the 7.0 Pro category, which was all fine and dandy, but we kept breaking out. We went too fast.
Right.
We were going 680, 600. The Nitro cars are only going low sixes, and I was breaking out. I could almost have ran with the Nitro cars because of the way the car ran.
Yeah, that's awesome. So forgive us. Again, it's our pilot. We'll do better as we go forward. I got all these pictures to show, but they're not really in any particular order. But some of these are kind of cool pictures. This is from a week ago up in Seattle. And it's just a cool shot. If you haven't been to Seattle racetrack, you're missing something. It's just beautiful up there. You can see all the trees. There's sort of the air is good. It's about sea level. But there is one idiosyncrasy about running in Seattle, and yes, that's not an optical illusion. It is a bit of an uphill shutoff there. But there is one idiosyncrasy about driving in Seattle, and that is the direction the racetrack points.
It points to this frickin' sun setting over the...
You'd swear to God that they had a protractor out there somewhere and said, okay, the sun will be, okay, put it right there aiming at the sun, because it is
Put the starting line here. Run them that way, for God's sake.
No, screw that. Let's go the other way. Yeah, it's a bitch. So I've driven there a number of times myself, but trying to see the tree, let alone have a decent light, is just damn near mission impossible. So it's not easy. So we're going to cut to this picture. I will be buried with these blue paper towels. It's part of our life. So this is just up in Seattle, and some pictures. These are ones Casey took?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how'd you get hooked with him? Man, this guy does not use his phone to take
one of my
pictures
first times up at Woodburn. No, so I was a student of film and television.
Which makes sense, I guess.
Part of that is photography. You have to know your photography before you can move into cinematography.
Oh. Okay.
So I see this kid walk by me with his vest on, and he had 3 cameras dangling from his shoulders. And one of them caught my eye. I was like, that's like a $3,000 camera.
Yeah, he's not using his phone here.
So, yeah, stay still, click. So I said, hey, I like your camera. He goes, I said, I like that one. He goes, a man of good taste, you know. He goes, this is my new one. I said, and he was kind of more perplexed by me knowing what I was looking at than him. So it kind of started our dialogue together.
That makes sense.
And I said, hey, I'd love to see what you shoot. He goes, I'll shoot stuff for you. So he sends me a link after that event. This is 2 years ago, driving this paint scheme on the wrap on the car, and I was so in awe of how I was like, oh my gosh, like this stuff is amazing.
Yeah, this isn't the first picture he's ever taken. This is 2021.
So Sherry Severance, the owner of the wife of her and Joey own the Woodburn track.
Yep.
She goes, Casey's the best. She goes, he is so good. He does stuff for them. He does stuff for hundreds of racers that are out there. And
this is last year at Woodburn, and you would think it's at the night race, but it's not. You remember the story of that?
I do. It was raining it was raining to our left, and sun setting to our right.
Yes, and we were getting the last
they were
pass
like,
in.
Hurry, hurry, hurry! The drizzle's it's starting to.
But then somebody oiled the track down,
right?
And they had to clean it up. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting. So it wasn't supposed to be a night run.
Right.
But I can still remember that Sherry said, if you guys want to run, you can, because they didn't have a light set up. It wasn't supposed to be a night race.
We're not turning on the lights for you guys.
No.
It's up to you if you want to still run this.
Right, because they rent all kinds of lights now that they didn't used to.
Being that we sat in the staging lanes for 45 minutes, I didn't think to change my visor.
Right.
Why would I?
Yeah, we're going to run. Yeah, well,
we're going to run. So it's low on my priorities when I just have the visor up like this and we're sitting there waiting.
Yeah, of course.
So
time ticks on.
Do the burnout, back up, and you said, hey, it's up to you. Do you want to run?
That's what I said. You don't have to do this. If you want to bail, I understand.
And I'm far from backing down from a.
No.
I feel like sometimes, remember in Back to the Future when Michael J. Fox, they go, what are you, chicken? And he goes like, and he gets that surge of, no one calls me chicken.
Right.
I have that sometimes. I'm like, let's do it. We're here. Yeah. We're all here. We're already in the front of the staging lanes.
Right.
Let's send it,
So we sent it, and that's the picture that we got out of it, and the car ran okay. But Here's the if you don't. Why would you know this if you don't do this? So let me share a story. With the injected nitro cars, as we are, they do have flames. It does shoot flames up to the wing. It's badass. The challenge is that the way the flames work is they oscillate left, right, left, right, left, right. And so to capture both sides at the same time is almost impossible. And if you show your shutter speed down enough to capture it, then the car's real blurry. So we've got a couple shots here where these guys are magicians. I don't know how they do it, but they're awesome shots. So when I got that, I about fell over like, okay, that's our Kodak shot for the year. That's awesome. It was very cool. All right, what else we got? I had them here, and that is
There's
Pomona.
another one with the same,
Same thing, yeah.
Flames are almost above the wing.
Yeah, but they caught this in the daytime. But you can see the oscillate part because that one's higher than that one because it went off first, and there's the next one. I don't know why they do it that way, but the way it works. But nonetheless, like, holy smokes. The irony is the next picture in sequence, because they go click, 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 click. The next picture in sequence, the car had the front end off the ground better, but it only had flames on one side. And I want it on both sides, so we took this picture. It was awesome. But this guy's very talented. What's his name?
That was Dave Commel took that picture. Another guy that's been around for 50 years, and his photo arsenal must be the archives he has is just amazing.
Right. Some of those guys are real talented. They're very good, but they're proud of their work too.
Wow.
This was just on the way to Vegas, and Derbs and I were towing our hot rod there, and stopped. God only knows where, but they have some pretty incredible sunsets there. So this got to be this weekend.
Yep.
We just did this. So, you know how in what you do for a living, the Hollywood world, people don't know. Tell them what you do. Is that illegal? Can we tell them what you do? It's not pornography most time.
No, not anymore.
So tell people
Kept getting recognized. So that's my favorite thing to do. Go, you look familiar. I go, oh, you watch porn?
What?
So we either get someone laughing, they go, what?
Yeah, like, yeah. No, of course not.
It's like, okay. I'm on a lot of bus stop benches. I work in television. I am a set dresser. I give things their look. I also work with country music and giving the stages their look. I'm paid for my eye. It's the best way to put it. People, what do you do? I go, I give things their look. What does that mean?
Yeah. So what show do you work on?
I work on the TV show SWAT.
Yes.
On CBS.
Yes.
I came from previously Superstore, working back. My resume impresses me sometimes. I forget. I look at it sometimes on IMDb and I go, oh yeah, I forgot I worked on that. And I was like,
done some cool
there's
stuff.
I have, yeah. I've been blessed enough to do pretty cool things that I have aligned myself with the right people and rode the right people's coattails.
Yeah.
And I kept my mouth shut.
Yeah. But you gotta do a good job
and
too.
proven myself to
right.
be dependable and reliable. That say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm gonna send you off on your own. You've done well, my son. Go on and
It helps to
carry
do what
on.
you say you're going to do.
Exactly.
Be honorable.
So,
but my point was that in your world, you're paid to make things look really good, and anything that doesn't look good is right above where the camera shoots, and
Basically,
nobody knows.
yeah.
I mean, you took me through that SWAT set and all those walls that are supposed to look like concrete or whatever it is. And you go, dink, dink.
you can put your finger through them. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Don't push anything.
The point is the visual impact of making it look good, and nothing ever looks bad, nothing ever smells bad, everything's just wonderful. Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I told you that story is to tell you this story. That's not reality. It does not work that way, at least not for me.
Yeah.
Maybe for you, but it don't work that way for me. So we tried a new wrap this year at the beginning of the year.
At the beginning of the year, I put a carbon fiber wrap with carbon fiber color accents over the carbon fiber.
How'd that work out for us, Trevor?
When I'm going down the track and stickers are flying by my head. And I'm like, and I could almost get the point, like, oh, that was a red line. Almost, I could tell by the color and what was flying by me.
The car. Oh my God!
So the carbon fiber base was fine. It was the stuff. Oh, actually, that's what's still on the car is the carbon fiber base.
That worked.
Because it went to the magnesium.
Body panels. But putting stuff on top of that.
Putting stuff on top of that because it's not real carbon fiber. It's not printed carbon fiber. It's stamped. They press the thatch pattern into this therefore causing lines, causing air to get underneath it.
Yes, so it's not a good base to stick to.
So it's been a thorn in our side for 7 months now.
It sucked.
That has been we were traveling with vinyl in the trailer to fix things.
Oh God,
that was constantly
all the time. So in the front of our trailer, we've got what my bride calls the employee lounge, which is a bunk beds, but there's room to store crap there, so we're storing crap there. And so I open the door up, and all I've got is these massive boxes and rolls of vinyl. I mean, it's like everything just falls out at you. Like, oh my God, why do we have to carry this much crap? Well, because we got to keep this thing looking halfway decent. Yeah. And it was just mission impossible. So when did we change to the new and updated look?
I got the reflective. I found this reflective color vinyl, so I was like, "Ooh, those match our." So I started getting all the colors in our starting line shirts. That's how the oranges and the blues and all that stuff came about.
But this is just recent, right?
Just last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I came up a couple days early before the doubleheader.
Right. So
and
just this last.
I didn't even kind of ask Greg. I just kind of said, "I know Greg gets in at like 11 or 12. I'm gonna get there at 8, and I'm gonna put some color down and see." Just the bottom of the car, because my favorite car was Larry Dixon's second car. His first car ever was the black and yellow Miller Genuine Draft, which he had. The second car was called the Splash Car. It was a black dragster with red, blue, and yellow.
So could Sean search under Larry Dixon's Splash Car? Would he find it?
Probably.
So try Larry Dixon Splash Car. So from that, somehow, Trevor did clean off all this. Well, not that there was that much to clean off because most of it had already fallen off, but got it cleaned up and actually took the vinyl off the nose that I'd had painted back in the day when Russ and I were together here in 19 with this House of Colors color called Tangelo, and I really liked it. This orange here is real pretty. So that we resurrected that and put this new reflective vinyl on the bottom of the car. And I never forget walking the shop and going, "Oh crap, this thing actually looks good again. This is awesome. I like this." And so that's what we debuted here at Woodburn 3 weeks ago, I guess. I tell you, the time just flies by. We're so stinking busy. I'm ready to catch my breath for a day or two. This has been a long stretch. At least for me anyway, but I'm old. So what else we got here? I gotta find, you guys are looking for that Dixon car. I'm gonna scroll through.
Ooh, I just found a cool picture of it. I'm gonna actually email it to you real quick because I found it.
You can do that. I can put that in. That's just this weekend. Yep. And oh, he had some cool shots in the pits that he did an awfully nice job of.
He's so good at just getting
real life stuff.
Yeah,
it's not posed like that. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
The bitch about that is the stands are empty. And last night, Woodburn.
So I took a picture last night from the starting line.
Oh my God!
Toward when the funny cars were running.
It was awesome.
There was maybe a handful of seats left in the house, and they were standing 3 deep at the fence. I was
nuts.
Blown away. The whole town. I am slowly getting a love for this being my favorite track because it's so mom and pop.
Oh, it is.
It's the owner's kids run the snack bar. Like there's
it's cool. It is
so much family to it that check your email.
And Joey and Sherry are good folks. They've been real good to us. We've raced there for so long. They're just good people.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. Okay, there. And what do you got there? Oh, yeah, okay.
So that's one of them.
Yes, it is. Holy smokes. Wow. So there's got to be a wheelie bar in that darn thing somewhere. You wouldn't know.
There was, but someone might have forgot the pin.
That'll screw it up. Wow. I wonder if the front end survived on that thing when it came down.
Don't know.
But we might be able to ask him someday. If we could ever find a way to talk to him, wouldn't that be cool? Could you get a smaller picture there, Trev?
It's Google.
So it's a little grainy. Sorry for our luck here, kids.
So this was the first concept behind of just having the colors go on the bottom of the car.
Got it.
So I said, I can do that.
That's cool. I like that. That is cool.
So that's where I went from. That's an old school nose like you have with the 2-piece front wing.
Yep.
So the wings have taken an evolution from the early 2000s on with being the one-piece
mono front wing.
Yeah.
He's just really talented with these candid shots. God darn.
That's from your front seat looking to the back seat over your...
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, he is so talented. Wish I had a talent. Was right the darn. He's really good. You don't know he's there until all of a sudden you hear this click, 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 click.
He's got such a fast shutter. It's like...
Oh, God. Yeah,
it's out of the 40 photos he just shot in 10 seconds, you hope to get one.
Right.
Like
you're looking for that Kodak moment shot.
Right.
Yeah. Still see our Eugene William Construction Dreamcatcher there. They're good folks that have helped us out. Local company here, CBM customer. Thank you very much. Good people.
The other night, Gregg and I are coming home late at night from way up north, and we see at 11 o'clock at night Eugene William tanker truck on the freeway.
I've seen the pictures.
In all its glory. I'm like, hey, there's our Dreamcatcher.
There it is. I've seen pictures of these tankers because Martin, my main contact there, is so proud of these trucks because he doesn't go out into the truck scrapyard and buy an old truck and wrap it. He's bought brand stinking new trucks that he's ordered and had to wait for, and they are nice.
This thing was shiny at night.
Oh, it was awesome. And instead of having two, I don't know, he told me why, I didn't pay attention, I guess, but instead of having two tankers or together, he wanted this one long one, and it's the longest thing you can have on the road in Oregon.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and there was a reason for it, and I don't remember what it was, doesn't matter. But anyway, it was gorgeous. But yeah, you're driving down the road just bleary-eyed, hardly have your eyes open and go. And he caught it like, oh my God, that's Eugene William.
It took me a second. I was like a dog that was confused for a second. I had to like.
What the heck? I would swear we had more pictures than that, but because we got to get to the old stuff that you drove too. There's got to be more stuff down here. Okay, so you've driven a lot of cars over a lot of years, and I don't know what's what here, but you can tell some of the stories. Oh, we talked about that a little bit.
This was the birth of Cacklefest.
Right. So I didn't know this. I mean, you think Cacklefest, oh, you've been doing this forever, and don't ever think about it, but that's not true. There was a beginning.
No, I was born in 1988 in Bakersfield.
I did not know that. And the reason that they did this
was a tribute to the racers that have passed on. So it's 1990s, it was 7 or 8.
So in 1998, they are going to pay tribute to the folks that we've lost, and because it's the first time they've done it, it's a long list of folks we've lost.
Yeah, because this is one of the reunions were only about 6 or 7 years old at this time.
That's the Hot Rod Reunion.
The Hot Rod Reunion in California. Mm-hmm. So
now the March Meet they've done forever.
March Meet is historic. It's 50 plus years old.
Right, but the Hot Rod Reunion, which is in the fall,
started in 1990.
And I didn't know that till you told me that.
And it was supposed to happen one time.
Oh.
And people were bringing out their cars, and they said, "Oh, we should have a race with this too." Someone in their office said, "We should make it a race, get more people." Yeah. Well, slowly over the last 20 years, the racing has taken over, and the less of the Cacklefest stuff.
Right.
Which is where now Steve Gibbs and Cindy Gibbs have their Nitro Revival to kind of rebrand that.
So you started then in the Cacklefest world. You got invited.
I was at the right place at the right time with a gentleman named Bill Pitts who owns this car. He says, "Hey, we're doing this thing tonight. Will you video it for me?" And he hands me this.
Yeah,
over
this is 98,
on the shoulder video camera. You know how to use this? Yeah,
of course. Yeah,
let me tune it up for you.
It's huge.
So he says, "Be back here at 5 o'clock." Okay, so I'm there at 5 o'clock. Somewhere in the conversations that he was having with Jeep Hampshire, the original driver of this car, there was a miscommunication of where Jeep needed to be.
The guy's first name is
Jeep.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear.
There's two brothers, Jeep and Ronnie Hampshire. They're both about 5'0", and they were the badasses of Top Fuel racing in the '60s. So now the program has to go on. It's like, hey guys, so we're in the staging lanes all the way to the right at Bakersfield. They want to pull us out on the return road in front of a stage.
Yep.
While Dave McClellan read this list of people that had passed
Folks
on.
we've
First
lost.
time they're ever doing this.
Dave McClellan is world class. I don't know if he only did NHRA, but that's all I know him from. But his voice is one of those voices you could hear across an airport on a speaker. You go, that's Dave.
That's Dave McClellan, yeah.
It's an incredible voice. If you guys don't know who he is, you'll know this voice. It's just iconic and incredible. So he's describing all the folks that we've lost.
He's reading the list, and it had to be on a timed thing because there were, for whatever reason, and in typical NHRA fashion, it's like, no, we're not going to, hey, hurry. It's like, well, shit, you just told me wait. Like,
right.
Now it's get in. So
I think it's written in the rules they have to do that. Because they're really good at it.
Bill goes, hey, put this on. He hands the camera off my shoulder to my buddy.
Yeah.
He says, put this on. And it's this silver.
So this wasn't the plan.
This was
from
never
the
the
beginning
plan.
of the day.
I was supposed to be the videographer for this thing.
And somehow they decided, screw that, let's put him in the car.
So I was 17 and able to fit in the car. So
And in fairness, the cars from the 60s are
it's
not
made for a 5'3" guy.
which is why the 5-foot guys worked.
So
there weren't guys that are like my size.
knees are so close to my chest in this car. You sit like your ass sits so low. And
It is. I remember from my dad's car.
To push those pedals, it's forward and it's not pushed down.
No, it's
like
forward.
It's straight forward.
Because if you don't know, on a rear engine dragster, the slingshot dragster, they call it, you're literally straddling the rear end. That third member of the middle section of the rear end is where? It's right.
It's under your
Front
thighs.
parts. Yeah. So it's right there, and you go, oh, dear Lord, please don't explode this rear end. Bad things will happen. Like, I don't get many joys in life, Lord. Please don't take this one away.
Yeah.
So they put you in this car, put that stuff on.
Put me in the car.
This is what they wore back then in the 60s, that respirator and the goggles and the bell helmet, which isn't going to be on camera unless I put it on camera. But up top, I've got all the helmets from my career, including the far one on the left, which looks a whole lot like that. And I can remember that he had this big bubble clear visor thing. And you look at that now and you go, oh, my God, that made sense to you to wear that, but that's all there was.
It wasn't options.
Yeah, and if you look at the chassis of the car, his head is protruding out past where the chassis is.
Yeah.
Like, how's that going to protect you? Well, it didn't, which is why we had 60 folks who weren't there anymore.
Yeah.
Some of them lost in crashes.
They pushed us out into the return road. They'd read this list, and I was kind of foggy on what they were doing.
They're not real clear.
I was just asked to be that. Well, Bill didn't say, oh, we're firing a car. Here's what we're doing. And he talks about it in his book called, I think it's called Chasing Magic or something.
Yeah,
the one I gave you one copy, and I have
cool.
one. Where he talks about the whole history of this car and the evolution of racing in Southern California and the finding and rebirth of this car, restoration of this car.
Yeah, that's cool.
Such a cool thing, such a cool guy. So his friend Tom was with him, a bald guy with long ZZ Top beard. He goes, you all right, kid? I said, yeah. Like, I'm a little uncomfortable in this. I'm in a tank top under my asbestos jacket. I have no hearing protection in.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's he putting on the front of the motor? It was the starter.
Yeah.
I'm unclear that we're about to start this car. I'm like, holy shit! Like,
here we go.
But on the other hand, I'm like, hell yeah!
Yeah,
I get to be in a car that's firing.
Yeah.
I'm already ecstatic. I'm out of the VIP area. I'm out of the restricted area.
Right.
I'm in front of people. Like,
Right.
this is a cool thing for me.
It's
I'm
awesome.
17 going,
It's very cool.
this is awesome. So they start the car, and it's loud.
Oh, God, yeah. Because we're not running on gasoline.
It's only on alcohol at this point. And I'm like, okay, like thinking. So he has a 5-gallon jug with a basically just a straw line to the back of the hat.
Yeah.
So when he pulls that out, he gives me the sign, which is pull the lever, which is pulling the fuel on.
Turn fuel on.
So I pull the fuel on, and then the tone obviously changes, and now it's going, and it's just short of
Jumping off the ground.
rocking me and jumping off the ground.
Nitro's mean stuff.
And I'm like, holy shit. Because
It's loud.
that helmet's just acting like, I felt like the guys on Spaceballs that have an over-exaggerated helmet. I felt like the sound was just staying inside the helmet. My ears were ringing for literally 2 days afterwards.
And nitro's mean stuff. It doesn't really burn, it explodes, which is where all the power comes from. But anyway, that's what a cool story. What a cool deal. That's awesome.
This was during the private moment of silence.
Okay.
Is when this was. But during the film, during the fire up, something in my Trevor's mind said to point up.
Oh, that's cool.
And I did it. It made magazines, it made T-shirts, it made calendars. It was such a moment that never was supposed to happen.
You've had a lot of those in your life, I've noticed.
Everyone says
right place, right time.
Right place, right time. If Trevor leaves a party, you leave too. Something's gonna happen. Like I avoided the Las Vegas shooting. I avoided.
Were you there?
I was part of the concert.
That's right.
And then my ex and I left before all this stuff went down.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
2 years later, in 2019, they had a country bar down in my area. Had a shooting at the country bar, where people were killed there.
That's sad.
I was supposed to be there also for a friend's birthday.
Wow.
So I have my guardian angels that are definitely
kidding. You got them on overtime.
on my shoulders.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what a cool story. So this
was that 70 Pro back in black car. It originally was a Nitro car that Dennis Lashardi owned.
It's a beautiful car.
Gorgeous car. I think a guy named Alex Baker has it now in back
really
east somewhere.
Pretty.
They have a number of they're doing the Nitro Chaos stuff.
That's awesome.
And it's got such a presence. It's just the pictures don't do this car justice.
Yeah. I'm sure that's true. The other thing to me of note is how many GTO bodied funny cars are there?
2.
Right. That's the point.
2. And I'm about to drive the other one.
Right.
That's what's cool for me.
Mike Sharpelow
has it. To add to his. How big is this guy's garage?
Oh, God.
Because every time.
God. Mike cannot go past a double B car without buying it. He's got.
It's like when a dog pees on a tree. He goes, "That's my tree now."
Mine, yeah.
Like he literally will go.
I don't know if he pees on them or not, but he sure buys a lot of them. He's quite a guy. He's very charismatic.
My relationship with those guys came through you at PRI when we went to dinner.
Went out to dinner with him.
He was saying, "Oh, I'm buying this car." Now I haven't had a conversation with him ever. He goes, "Oh, I'm buying this car."
Right.
Like, look, and he shows me. I go, "Oh, I drove the sister to that." He goes, "What?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah, I drove." So we were comparing phones, waiting for our name to be called.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we went from never saying a word to each other to talking the rest of the night and talking to this day.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, so if I buy this car, will you shake it down for me?" And I go, "Absolutely. They're such a nice car." And the guy who owned that, excuse me, the orange car, his name was Cal Tebb. I think he's out of Canada or somewhere up north. Another gorgeous car. Like, they're just such a pretty car. And that windshield is so big for a nostalgia funny car. Greg, it's like an HD TV. People go, I said, "How's the vision?" I go, "I could tell you the first 6 photographers on the wall as I launch because you could see everything in that car."
Beautiful car.
Beautiful car.
Tell me about this.
So that's the car. It's in my garage. It was a father-son project before my dad passed away.
Which we lost your dad in
2011.
Okay.
So we started building this in 2007, and it became it's a small block Chevy on 100%.
Right. So is this the original car that your dad?
It's not the original car.
Okay.
It's the original wheels and tires.
Okay.
That's about all that's original in that car.
Okay.
Pete Eastwood built the car. He was a Don Long employee.
Yep.
Don Long was a very famous, he's still with us. So,
right.
Chassis builder.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's beautiful.
Built the car, did it as a father-son project.
That's cool.
We take it out to do cackle stuff and
this is Bakersfield. There's Famoso. Okay, so here, part of the cool part is
push car.
Well, yeah, you're not being pushed by a 1998 or 2023 pickup.
89 Honda.
Yeah, that either. But this is period correct. So whose car's that?
That's Bill Pitts' car.
God,
I got
that's
the magic
so cool.
car. No, so my dad's helmet's original.
See?
I do have that. That's very
cool. That's cool.
Of anything that's going to be original in the car, I'm glad it's that.
That is cool. It's awesome.
That's the most historic. And the guy who owns one of his other cars says, "I want to buy that helmet from you." I go, "The helmet's not for sale.
Yeah.
You're welcome to copy it.
Right.
and
But
have a painter duplicate.
How much money would it take to get you to let go of that?
You can't. There's no
There isn't
money.
any,
Yeah.
Okay, so this idea of pushing the car, though, if you're not from
Old
that,
Ford wagon.
it's crazy. If you're not from that era, this is what I grew up doing too. In fact, God darn, back in the day, I grew up at Balboa Drag Strip in Eugene, Oregon, and that track doesn't even exist anymore. But in the day, there was a pageantry to the top fuel cars that is gone. They just do it different. But back then, they had to push start these darn things.
Yeah.
So the way they would do it, I don't know how they did it every other drag strip, but at this one, they would push the cars down the track. They'd turn around down the top end and push them back. And on the way back is when they would start them. And on the way back, they're in the opposite lane they were going to run in. Okay. So now they let the clutch out and boom, the car starts and cackle, cackle, cackle. And now they swap back to the starting line and turn around and point them back. So this took a while.
Yeah.
So for every pair of cars, it took a while, but all that theater and pageantry was part of the deal. Like, oh, God, that's so cool.
See, and I think that's so cool because it puts on a show.
It does. It's entertaining.
Nowadays, and it's nothing against NHRA or any other track or Woodburn or anything. I feel like the fans aren't getting their bang for their buck. They're rushing the program.
Right.
Because they want to fit into a TV or they want to fit into this. And like,
There's
well,
a schedule.
you're not showing it live anyway. Cut it.
Right.
Let the fans get their
Yeah, I agree. I totally get it.
Their bang for their buck with all the show to it. People love the show. They love the rivalries. They love
all that stuff.
The stuff. There's no rivalries anymore.
No.
You just this last week had Alex. Who's driving for Jim Dunn right now? I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Alex McLaughlin.
Alex
Laughlin. That's what I was like trying to figure out.
Close.
Laughlin. So him and J.R. Todd had exchange of words or something, or there was beef that the fans were like, "Whoa, what was that about?" It's like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, but NHRA's trying to squash that. We had an incident in the alcohol ranks back east with a guy that I know real well and a guy we compete against, and it was more than words by the end of it. But people want to see some action, for God's sake.
The rivalries that I recall from, and I'm not super old, but there's the first one that's memorable was Snake and Mongoose.
Of course, and they made a whole thing out of it.
They made
a huge thing.
They made the whole. They made their rivalry.
Yes.
They literally like, God damn, the WWF. They scripted this whole thing.
Right.
I'm going to hate you. You're going to hate me. We are going to go against each other. We are going to match race all across this country.
But they towed together in matching tow, and those tow rigs were just they're the
I got to
Ram
drive
trucks.
one.
One of the Ram trucks?
Yeah.
No shit, that's cool.
During so I got to work on.
Gorgeous.
I worked on the movie.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
story too.
We were waiting for an actor for some reason because the actor that played Perdome was on Grey's Anatomy. Well, that's going to take far precedence over a tier 2 movie when you're on a season 14 of a doctor show that has no end in sight. It's still going.
Wow.
So they said, well, let's go get some driving shots. But I have a SAG card and my license to do this stuff. Well, if you're driving a car on camera, you're an actor.
And so you have to be part of the Screen Actors Guild.
Correct.
So you have to be part of that union.
Yeah.
You have to have that card, or you couldn't have done it. So the fact that you knew how to drive a race car was not enough.
It wasn't even supposed to happen that day. We took a splinter unit, which is a smaller camera package. It's a camera operator, the camera, and like a focus puller. And we drove in the the long straightaway shots in Lancaster, California, on roads where you could just see for miles, and the hills go like this.
So it wasn't the drag strip.
So the truck would disappear.
Oh,
we just did these
cool.
driving shots with the sunsets.
That's cool.
But Skip Allen was Perdome's car taker, so he moved the picture cars around and did all the stuff. He worked for Perdome. He goes, can you drive a split shift tractor? As I said,
the truck.
Yeah, the truck had it was a shift, and you literally had a thing you pulled up, and it had a second set of.
Yep. I'm familiar with that.
I said, I'm a quick learner, so he took me out, and we did a couple laps on the block, and then I drove it.
So those Ram trucks had those kind of transmissions.
Yeah.
Okay. So the ramp trucks themselves were just nostalgic and cool because now everything is a semi-tractor trailer with these ginormous trailers and not just one and not just two, but the big teams have got gobs of them. We've got the one that hauls the parts, the one that hauls the car, the one that hauls the spare cars, the one that hauls all the hospitality stuff. It just goes on and on and on. Well, back then, your hot rod was on this ramp truck and had a couple cabinets on the side you could put a couple parts in or a jug of fuel, but that's it. That's all there was. But they made this rivalry with one truck being red and the other being yellow. And so at the track, we hate each other and we fight and like cats and dogs. But now we're traveling together and drinking beer together at the end of the day on to the next track.
Right.
But they marketed the crap out of that with the Hot Wheels deal. And I remember that as a kid. It was cool. It was awesome.
And the movie goes into that.
Yeah.
And talks about the Hot Wheels.
So
and how
a lot of those shots on those cars, you're in that. So if you look at that movie, Trevor is credited.
There's literally a shot.
Bunch of it.
There's literally a shot where it's a split screen and it's a tight shot of, and it slowly is punching in. It's supposed to be Prudhomme and McEwen. They're both me.
Yeah.
They're both me because they shot them at different times.
Right.
And you wouldn't know it because you're wearing a face mask and goggles and all this stuff.
Yep.
But I know my eyes, and I was when we filmed. I remember them like doing all this stuff because the actors. We shot the whole movie in 5 weeks, which is fast for a movie. Usually, features take 8 or 9 months to film a feature.
But some of the actors, as I recall, weren't super excited to be in the cars when they're running. Or
no, they actually hated it. They actually were bringing in AC units and pumping them through the windows.
Oh my God!
You would be a terrible drag racer because I'm like, you're in a funny car. You're at least in the shade.
Right. Remember the Hollywood conversation a few minutes ago? We said we want you to see this, we don't want you to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that crap. There's no way that would work in reality. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Anyway, crazy. If I may, back to this pushing deal. So with my dad's car, which was a front engine car, I can remember our family grocery getter was a '67 GTO. It was a gorgeous car. But it was a 4-speed, right? So I don't know if it was the beginning of the end or the end of the beginning between my mother and my father, but it did not help the relationship where my dad had, bless his heart, had painted his car with this blue lace, gorgeous paint scheme on these magnesium body panels on this
family car.
Yeah. Well, and so then on the GTO, which was the same color, just without the blue lace, but it's the push car. So he built this push bar on the front of it, and it's going to push the dragster. So there's a bar coming off the back of the dragster. It's got a wheel on it so that it can move. But you're supposed to just nose up to that and tap and then let the clutch out and push. Well, bless her heart, my mother... It didn't.
I already know where this is going.
Yeah. So the clutch came out a little quicker than it was supposed to. Bam! Lands to the back of it and shoves that bar into
the wood.
Well, no, through the magnesium body panel. It went into the race car and tore up the back of the car. So that's my point. I don't know if that was the beginning of the end or end of the beginning between them, but I don't think it helped the relationship at all.
I had a unexperienced push car driver one time.
That's a wrong place to have inexperience.
He nudges you.
Oh my God.
Okay, I feel you.
Yeah.
And he hits me again. I go, we're not moving yet. I'm like, okay. He's just trying to feel where
you're at.
We're starting to get A plus B.
Right.
So I give him the, okay, go ahead.
Go.
And he guns it.
No way.
No, you don't gun it. You slowly get up. When you get up to 20 miles an hour, hit your horn. Honk, honk.
Yep.
That way I know that it's going to spin at a certain speed. I let the clutch out. I watch the oil pressure come up, and then I flip the mag on.
Oh, very cool.
It's a 3-step procedure.
Right.
This guy is going to goddamn go through the finish line at 100 miles an hour if I don't so I let the clutch out real quick, and it's not turning over. But he thinks he shoves me, and he kind of hangs back. Well, it's not firing. It's taking a second because there was no fuel going up to the motor yet. It was taking a second. So here he comes, like the goddamn Dukes of Hazzard, and he rams me. It puts the push bar on the back of my seat
through the wood.
Now, and it's higher. So now my wheels aren't touching the ground at all. We look like a Three Stooges act, and I'm at the mercy of if he's steering. I'm going, well, okay, we're doing
hilarious.
this now.
Wow.
It's moving the back end, and finally a wheel touches, and he goes, chirp,
Yeah.
and it pulls me away.
Oh wow!
And
Finally lit.
I pushed. So that car has a push brake in it. This one, because that's what my dad had. Because you're so confined to the cockpit.
Yeah, you don't
not
have
like
room.
nowadays where I have a little bit of room where I can, grab the brake, push the parachutes, grab the brake.
Right.
It was all one motion.
Right.
Parachutes, push the brake. Because your momentum's going this way with the parachutes out.
Right. In fairness, they didn't have carbon fiber brakes then either.
No, your brakes are so good on your car, which
It's
I've proven
unbelievable.
twice now.
Yeah, sadly, yeah. That's another story for another day. but I'm telling you, if you've never driven a car with carbon fiber brakes, holy crap. It's hard to conceive of how good they are, but they're backwards from steel brakes. I've got an old Dodge Challenger SRT8, but it's an old one, 2010. But it came with awesome Brembo brakes. It's the best stopping car I've ever driven on the street.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go, well, that's badass brakes. Yeah, we'll get in the race car, and the difference is the steel brakes, as they get hot, they get worse. And with the carbon brakes, obviously, they don't even work worth the crap until they get warm. So we've got a picture of our car where we had a minor incident with parachutes, and his camera, he can go any direction. It's really cool, this GoPro deal he has, but it's pointing down at the wheels and tires, and all you can see is these glowing red rotors, and they work that way. It didn't cause them to not work. They work great. And then they cool off and they're back to normal. It's like black magic science. I don't know how it works, but son of a gun, you can stop the wheels from turning, which is not the same thing as stopping the car from moving.
Correct. a little chirping.
Yeah, because you'll be airborne, and they don't work with a crap when they're in air.
On that pass in Pomona, we had Rich McPhillips Jr.
Yeah.
And he says, I thought I was having the front row seat for...
Yeah.
Because I passed him...
Yeah, at a high rate of speed, of course.
He already had his chutes out, and he was like,
you would.
oh, shit.
As you should have. We had a minor incident. The point is that if you've not been to Pomona, it's a very short shutdown track because it's captured on three sides that way closely. So it's not like we'll just extend it. Well, there's a road there. They can't.
There's a golf course.
That too.
A road and a golf course and
then the
airport.
airport.
Airport, yeah.
yeah. So there's nowhere to go. So the shutdown area that in 1958 was fine for a
120 mile an hour car that was...
It weighed 1,000 pounds or 1,500 pounds.
Yeah.
Now we take a 330 mile an hour car that weighs 2,200 pounds, and the physics are a little different.
Yeah.
So as long as everything works the way it's designed to work, they'll stop. But the margin for error is almost nil there.
Yeah.
So when we got down there, now Trevor was not in a good mood, but he did get it stopped. No, I wouldn't have been in a good mood. He was really unhappy.
Sorry about that again. It takes
a
a lot for me to boil.
Well, yeah, and you were very gracious, but I felt so bad because we'd screwed up on our end. But the point is, to get that car stopped at Pomona with no chutes is it takes some incredible skill, because you can't just pull on these brakes that I just said work great, and they do, because you can stop the wheels from turning, but it doesn't stop the car from moving. You've got to be able to control yourself as you see that sand trap and net coming up at a high rate of speed. I tell you what, if you don't know this, when you cross finish line, you're covering a football field every second.
Yeah.
So you don't want to screw around with too many seconds, because there's not many football fields left out there, especially at Pomona. So that was very skillfully done, and it had good brakes. But the next year I put brand new rotors on, and so we got the best brakes that are possible.
The best shutdown tracks that I've been to are now Seattle and Vegas. They both have the uphill
yeah.
thing.
But they're long, too.
They're long as shit. Then Andrew goes, hey, why are you on the track?
Right.
It's like, motherfucker, you got... you got... I went a quarter mile at 280, and then they got a half a mile of going 12.
Right.
Like, how am I supposed to make it up the hill?
But true, it's all true, but there's more to the story, because sadly, back when we lost Scott Coletta, I think 08, 08
or 9, yeah.
Okay, but whatever it was, that was the end of the quarter mile racing for fuel cars. The big show cars was the end of that. And that's when Leahy developed the safety box, if you don't know what that is. So the problem was, there are many problems, but they think that Scott was unconscious, and because the car kept accelerating past the finish line, and however it happened where he hit at a high rate of speed and we lost him. It was a very tragic deal. But from that, a safety improvement was designed where now when the driver crosses the finish line, you've got a very short amount of time that you are going to get the chutes out and shut the fuel off and shut the ignition off.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, no problem, it will do it for you.
Yeah.
So I remember when it was a new rule, and I had to put that on the car, and you had to get this Bimba valve, it's an air piston valve, that would attach the fuel lever and clunk, pull it forward, and clunk it, pull the parachutes, and then it would shut the ignition off. And so that's great because it now helps stop the cars, even if the driver can't. Right. That's great. Until you're at a really long shutdown track, right. And they mandate that the car gets shut off. So, okay, the car's shut off. Well, how do you want me to drive this thing out there? Yeah. So they're mad at us for not getting off the track, but you just shut the car off, so I can't. So right. It's challenging. So we've actually talked about some strategical ways we could try to bypass, not bypass the safety, that's not what I mean, but to keep, when we're in control, to keep the car running enough to get off the track, to just speed things up a little bit. So we're not cheating, that's not my point. But you got to find some way to make all this work, that's the point. So anyway, but I can remember back to the push days. I was never there, but I remember hearing the stories that back 100 years ago, that at Pomona, there used to be rollers in the ground. Do you remember that at all? We're hearing a story?
I don't think Pomona did. Lions had them.
Okay. I was never there. It's just what the stories.
Next time you're down, we got to go to the Lions Museum.
I'd love to. I would love to.
They did such a cool job replicating the starting line of Lions.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's cool. I'd love to
Kenny
do that.
Youngblood is hand-painted.
Oh, Kenny Youngblood.
Everything inside this place.
That guy's a talent that's like none other. The talent that guy has with Sharpies and highlight pens.
He'll doodle on a placemat at dinner.
Right.
And for a kid who's sitting, it's so cool to watch him at things because he'll go, "Hey, what's your name?"
Yes.
Billy. This one's for Billy. And he goes, going, "That's cool." Like,
I have one of those. I have one. But it's on the wall in the kitchen at the house.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah. We're up in Mission, Canada, racing with Gary Eichmann, and he was buddies with Kenny. And so we went to breakfast at this guy's house, Wade Elder, another nice Canadian guy up there, super nice guy. And there's stories there. You got to hear the story about his transporter. He got it. He had a lot of horsepower in this, like it wasn't toter home, it was like a big motorhome, big one. And he got a ticket in Montana somewhere out in BF nowhere, where the roads go forever and ever and ever. And he got pulled over, and the cops in this motorhome, the cops, huge Freightliner, not okay, big one. And he got pulled over, and the cop said, and this is give or take a mile an hour too, he says, "Good God, do you know how fast you're going? You're going 108 miles an hour." And he goes, "Bullshit, I was." Says, "I can tell you it was well over 120 because I've got it in here." He was pissed. It was like he was being insulted. 120 miles an hour. Nothing. Oh, hell yeah. And he had granite floors that were real. I mean, the thing was heavy. So it had massive horsepower. He was a great guy.
That's
a lot of fun. Sorry, so many stories. But that's the point of this. We got so many stories. So we're up there at breakfast in Mission, and Kenny's there, and he just grabs this paper, and it's just highlighters and crap, and he draws my car, and it's like, oh my God, that's awesome. And then he customizes it, and it always says Blood did it.
Blood did it, yeah.
Yeah. And then I've got he does that, this just off the cuff in 4 minutes, that are incredibly talented. Then he did that poster when Kenny Bernstein went 300.
Yes.
Okay, for the first time in
rocket one.
92. Right.
I had that in my bedroom as a 12-year-old.
I have it at my house. Robbie gave it to me for a gift. So it's got a top fuel drag, so it was supposed to be Kenny's car. Anyway, but points straight up like a rocket, and it's got these mile an hours of 300, 301, 303, and on up as you're climbing, and this top fuel car taking off, and it looks like a rocket. It's just iconic and really cool picture.
Yeah.
I'll bring it in someday. But anyway, he's an unbelievably talented artist, and he's painted a lot of the old cars, too.
He'd be fun to get over here.
Oh, yeah.
He's got stories for days, too.
Oh, God.
So his wife used to run the tower at...
She's a hoot.
Terry. She used to run the tower, I think it...
Kenny's kind of a quiet guy. She's got the, oh my God.
They're definitely compliment each other, the yin and the yang.
Wow. She's a Spitfire. She's fun.
Orange County? I think she ran the tower in Orange County.
Wow.
So I would play with her. My dad would be doing his thing, and he would drop me off with her up in the tower. I was 5 years old, and I had restricted area wristbands and all this stuff as a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that works, sure.
Because I got to go in the tower and hang out with her daughter, Mimi, and we played with the soda boxes, and we made race cars out of the cardboard boxes with markers and stuff.
Wow.
Just the
upbringing. See, the cool stuff that you got to do is really awesome. I'll scroll through a couple of these other pictures, and then we probably ought to wrap here. But that is an altar that you drove. And
I still drive that.
what caught my attention with this was one. Wow, that's a really short car. What is the wheelbase on that? About 82 inches? I mean, it's really tiny.
96, I think.
I was close. It's really small.
Yeah.
Just as a reference, a modern-day alcohol or big show fuel funny car is 125-inch wheelbase. And that's a short car. We have short cars and long cars. We're 300 or 125. So if 125 is a short car, what's 96?
Yeah.
Extra short. So the shorter they are, the harder they are to drive because they want to go pretty much everywhere but straight. We'll have to show you a picture. It wasn't
this car is like driving a pissed off shopping cart.
Yeah.
You get that one wheel that always makes your front of your shopping cart do one thing or the other.
Right.
That's what this car will do. If you don't have it pointed completely straight,
it's going to go where it's pointed.
It's going to do one of two things.
That's cool. So other pictures of that car. Cool. The other thing that caught my attention is those wheels. Those look like original from the 60s mag wheels, which are high dollar and highly sought after today. Cool. That's cool. So, guys, see, look at the stands.
That's during a cackle fest. Stands are packed and 4 deep at the fence.
Is that Bakersfield?
Yeah.
Wow. See, if you haven't gone there, you got to go. It's really badass cool.
I would get really close to the fence so the flames were right at the people.
Oh, right.
So and then everyone else did too. So somewhere somebody said, "Hey," like the insurance people of NHRA, like,
caught on.
You can't get that close to people. You're sending hats. I would rev the engine and send people's hats into the first row of the stands.
That's funny.
Too close. So they put cones out about 6 feet from the fence. Stay to the right of the cones, please.
Do you remember? I don't know all the details. I shouldn't tell the story, but the story of who was it? Somebody famous that did a burnout on the return road. I think at Boise, and it did not end well. And some rules changed after that. I'll have to look into that. We're out of time for today, but yeah. So now all the cool history and some cool things happen, some tragic things happen. Now it's all this highly refined, highly packaged, highly processed product of NHRA drag racing.
Yeah.
That's cool, but they keep squeezing out all the
fun, the show. There's no show to it. Now it's hurry, we got to run, we got to this, that.
Oh, and that
racing was done in Seattle by 4:00. Did you notice that? There were people walking their cars at 4:30.
Right.
Like,
and they've got noise restrictions, but it's not
4:30.
That's nuts. Yeah, it's nuts.
That's so. What I liked about Woodburn last night was it was 10:00 at night. The stands were packed.
Yes.
And the flames, the arc. We obviously put on a huge flame show with being a Nitro car.
Right.
But there's so much fun and people on the tow back. Thank you.
It's incredible.
They were so appreciative.
They're so grateful
that we come out and put on a show.
Right.
Which costs us money for their $16 admission or whatever they paid to get in.
Right.
They're thankful and they're appreciative.
Right.
We went through another 100 handouts last night.
Wow.
Like it's so cool to me, and everyone's like, oh, you guys are our favorite. We love coming to this track. We love this. It's like,
right.
It's like, we need to get you guys out at the when Lucas Oil has their races here.
Right.
The stands are empty.
The stands are
it's
empty.
100 degrees outside. It's not a night race.
No.
NHRA should figure this out. Like, we should run one of the 2 races at night.
Right.
So run a night race and fill the stands.
So it seems to me, with all possible respect to NHRA, okay, you guys are trying, bless your hearts, that's fine, but that some things don't require a 4-digit IQ to figure out.
Yeah.
In 1993, I had the opportunity to go to Ukraine and to Romania. Another story for another day. The point is, the cars, this is just after the revolution in Romania, happened in 89, we were there a couple years later. The cars that the Romanians got to drive are called Dacias, D-A-C-I-A. And a 1950 Dacia looks exactly like a 1993 Dacia. They haven't changed anything on them. And you could see the road through the floorboards. Their gasoline must have been about 47 octane because everything pinged like, it was just abhorrent.
Right.
Okay, that's their car. In the parking lot of the hotel was a Mercedes. Now, it was utilitarian there. It wasn't a show car, so it's dirty and filthy. But you couldn't see the road through the floorboard.
Right.
It ran good. So I'm thinking to my bad self at that time, if I was a Romanian, I'd catch on. You drive a Dacia. I want one of those. Okay. Now, told you that story, tell you this story, that some things shouldn't take a 4-digit IQ to figure out. So last night, the stands are full and running over. You couldn't find a place to park. My niece got there, and she got there late. Late meaning what, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock or something, just for our first pass. And she said you couldn't find a place to park.
They were parked way down by the scales and beyond.
Which is way past the finish line. And if you haven't been there, it's like, oh my God. And they're packed on the other side, too, because there's parking over there, too. Yep. This place is freaking packed. Yeah. And they're having a good time. And if I didn't know better, I'd be willing to bet. I bet they bought a beer or two. So I bet that Joey and Sherry ran out of beer or used a lot of it up, and they should, bless their heart. So they should have made a ton of money, and they should. God bless them. It's awesome.
Hands down, my favorite event that we do.
Oh, God, it's awesome.
That's not part of a points race or something. It's fun to be out there and be the big dogs. On
it is, and we didn't go super fast. It's the car needs to go faster. So I'm not cool because I have the world's fastest A fuel car, because I do not. But the car goes A to B each time. It shoots flames out to the wing. And the fans, I've noticed, when we have gone fast or when it doesn't go as fast, and we're talking a tenth or a second or two or three, but to us, it's a huge deal. To them, they don't know, and they don't give a rat's arse whether they don't care. What they want to see is flames to the wing and the car making it A to B.
Fast, loud, and...
Oh, God, and it thunders your heart to the bottom of your socks. It's unbelievable. And so when you tow back and these packed stands are appreciative of what you do, I wouldn't mind doing this again next. We worked our asses off to get this thing ready. And God, you work hard. Anyway, it's worth it because these people are appreciative. It's like, wow, that's the reward. That's awesome.
That's the fun part, is towing back.
It is. It's incredible.
It's the after the run.
It is.
That you can chase gremlins for 2 days, 3 days to get to make 3 passes.
Yeah.
And it's like...
So 15 seconds of runtime on the track, right?
Exactly.
15 freaking seconds. And we work our asses off, spend thousands of dollars per pass to make this happen. And the payback is in the tow back when these fans are so damn appreciative. So you love these people. They're awesome.
I had a moment last night. Just, I can see him as we're towing back. There's a little kid going like this.
Yeah.
And I waved, and he goes, "Mommy," he waved at me.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But I was the kid at Balboa when my dad had a dragster, but it wasn't Top Fuel. It ran an E-dragster class back in the day. But the point is, I can remember a Fuel Funny car there, and I wish I knew which one. I don't. I'm sure it wasn't a big name guy, but it was a Fuel Funny car, and he had me help him mix his fuel. And they did not have Anton Par gauges back then, an electronic deal that will tell your nitro percentage. It's the old school hydrometer. So you got some nitro in this big cylinder, and you got this hydrometer in it, and you see the specific gravity and what fuel percentage is. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, now that's the science I can get behind, not this crap I can learn in school. Right?
I try to do a lot with kids.
We do gobs with kids, putting them in the car. How many kids have we put in that car? We about wore it out, putting kids in and out. But we were those kids back in the day, and it made such a huge impression on each of us.
Absolutely.
We didn't know each other then. We weren't going to know each other for decades, but it changed you and me individually for life. And it put this sickness in us, this incurable disease of drag racing.
I wish I would have taken up
nitro
drugs.
Drag. Oh, God.
Drugs would be cheaper.
You can have a hell of a cocaine habit for what it costs to run this car, right? And probably hookers, too. I mean, I don't know what they cost, but I'd be willing to bet we could afford some nice ones because I know what this car costs to run. It's nuts. But once that hook is set in you, it's really hard to go away.
Investing in, I feel like the junior dragster program is such a good avenue for parents to do something with kids to get involved in the sport.
Yes.
Whether they try it and like it or try it and don't like it. Either way, you're introducing them to something that's not a video game, but they're sitting in their bedroom.
Or soccer or baseball. With all possible respect to those, it's fine because it's physical. It's great.
This is something that, because soccer and baseball, that's where they're the solo thing, and it's not there's no participation trophies in drag racing.
Oh, God, no. I can vouch for that.
There's the, like, I bought a car for a former girlfriend's child. Right. I said, you got to have good grades. Mm-hmm. You got to. I set the rules.
Yep.
Well, it ended before it started, but it was tough because it was like, it teaches you the structure of a team.
Right.
A team where the parents are the bosses.
Right.
Not a coach, not a thing. It's like, so okay, you didn't get your grades this week.
Right.
We're not racing this week.
Right. That's incredible. It works great.
Yeah.
You want to know another facet of the junior drag racing and how it's impacted what I did when I was driving? I drove my car for the first 14 years I owned it, and then I had a disc replaced in my neck, and the doctor said, yeah, that's not such good. They didn't like it before that, frankly, but they liked it decidedly less after that. The point is, when I was driving, we got 3 laps this weekend, right? It's hard to get very many laps. 3, 4, 5 is a full weekend. I mean, it's hard to get many more than that. How many laps these juniors get? They get lap after lap because you can hot lap them and send them right back. And because of that, these kids that can start at what age? How
6 or 7, I think.
So as a little kid, they can have a junior dragster, and at 6 or 7, they're not super fast, but they get them into the sport. Okay, and then by the time you're 10, 12, 15, those cars are fast. Those things are going almost 90 miles an hour in half track. They have power anyway, but they've made thousands of laps. So now that kid turns 18, and at 16 he then moves to a super comp car, and then by 18 somebody puts him in a fuel car, and now you're taking a light against somebody who has taken that tree thousands of times. So it is second nature, like breathing for them. I've had 12 laps this year.
Right.
Like, oh my God. So
they had 12 laps this weekend.
Yes, today. It's nuts. So that brings so much confidence and experience that's hard to replicate in what we do because of the cost to do it and time and maintenance. You just can't get there from here.
And I always tell, like there was a family there last night from up here. They said, what's our next step? I go, coming to the races is step 1. If you're making a fan that they want to get involved, like kids wanted to pack my chute. I go, they're already packed. They're already packed, guys. So I'm not going to unpack them just to pack them again. Come by later. I challenge more drivers to put kids in their cars, to do stuff, to go do all these things. Those we'll call them negative naysayers that say.
But we've had drivers that push back and say, I'm not putting kids in the car. Like, why?
How do you get so much publicity? How do you get so much this? You know, I've won Indy. I've won this.
Right. They've won way more races.
You're not out there selling yourself, or you're not out there doing something to improve someone else's world or whatever. It's getting out there.
Right.
It's being out there, being accountable, being. I took Megan Meyer's 12-week class.
Megan Meyer, daughter of Randy
Meyer.
Meyer. Randy Meyer is one of the best A-Fuel tuners owners on the planet, one of the top 2 or 3.
I think Megan's a 2 or 3-time champion.
Right, so he has how many A-Fuel cars now?
He's got about 3 cars and 7 drivers or something like that.
Yeah, a bunch of them. Rotate through. So they make gobs of laps, and he's very talented, and the cars haul ours. Because of that, she won the world championship 2 or 3 times, whatever it is. Very successful. So after she retired?
She's back driving now. She went and had a baby for a couple years.
Right.
Well, not the baby for a couple years, but she had a baby. She had the baby that was playing new mom for a little bit.
Not moms.
But she has her degree in marketing.
Right.
So
she created a class.
Took her degree in marketing and took her knowledge of sponsor getting and started a online Zoom deal. Well, there was probably 30 or 40 of us in it.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that was a big. I'll be damned.
So it was I think a 12-week deal, and I did her classes. I did Alex Stryler's classes on motorsports marketing.
But you feel they helped?
They helped. That's how I'm so diverse in all the stuff I do, and I've had the connections I've had to open doors and make.
The connections Trevor has are just stunning. I barely have, this is so crude, I barely have time to flush because you're just so busy trying to maintenance the car, run the business we have, get the parts coming. You can't just call, they answer the phone, I'll take 8 connecting rods, okay, do you want them, we'll ship them tomorrow, and you'll have them Friday. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You can't get them on the phone, take 6 phone calls, returns and crap, and then what do you want? Oh, well, yeah, send me the money. We'll ship you the parts in 6 months. But it doesn't, everything's just way harder.
Right.
So I felt like, God, I don't have the time left over to do this stuff. Well, Trevor shows up, and oh my God, he knows all these people, and they're all good friends. He's invested in these relationships, but at the right place, the right time. But you made a comment a minute ago about making their life better.
Yeah.
You're investing in them, and a lot of those people don't forget that. And now there's this reciprocity of, and it's not that I'll do this for you, you do this for me. It's just relationship.
It's about making the friendships and relationships.
It's relationship.
So in Seattle, I got to take Gregg. My friend is the executive chef for Don Schumacher Racing.
Right. And I got to meet him.
You got to meet him. We went in there.
Wait. Trevor goes, hey, how'd you introduce? Have you been in Schumacher's food
kitchen
something? and I had the good fortune in 2008 of being able to travel around with Jerry when he had Courtney and Brittany in the fuel cars, and I got to do quite a bit with them. It was awesome. And my point is that when we were out at the national events, I got to eat with the John Force crew, and they had this
hospitality
deal, and you'd go and get your food, and it was awesome. It was way better food than I ever had. It was wonderful. So I said, well, yeah, I've been through Force's deal, thinking I've done this stuff. Oh my God. And then we went to the Schumacher deal. So we're not going in this little tent with trays of food out.
With chafing dishes.
Exactly. Right. No. So we opened this trailer, and I don't mean a 24-foot Gold Rush.
Yeah.
I mean a 53-foot tractor trailer, and you open this, and it's a commercial-grade kitchen in here full of people cooking stuff that you'd have trouble finding at a good restaurant or hotel. I mean,
it's a traveling steakhouse.
My God.
The stuff that goes into it. And he has a crew of, I think, 12 that are in that trailer. And they don't just cater for Schumacher stuff or what's DSR or whatever used to be DSR, and it's kind of separated now.
Yeah.
But they cater for the Colettas. They cater for a number of different teams out there that have hospitalities there.
Right. But the quality of the food, the kitchen, everything they were doing was absolute world class.
Yeah.
Okay, that's today. And I think back to drag racing
60 years ago.
Right. We have
someone commented on that post I did of showing the pits of 1960 and the pits of our pit in Seattle, and says if you would have told someone 60 years ago that you can sit here and watch the car eating a chicken cordon bleu from a plate while watching a fuel car get fixed.
Where's that picture at? Is it on your Facebook?
Yeah.
So we ended up with a picture from Seattle that Tyson took. Tyson Parker. He took this picture because the pits were just nuts packed because we had the blessing, because some homework Trevor did, and back to relationships, of being up in the pro pits with other alcohol class cars. There's Darian to our left and Casey Gristle, and there's Kim Parker to our right, and there's alcohol funny cars over here. So we weren't alone, but there's just a handful of us up there, I would say. But nonetheless, the crowds were just nuts up there. So Tyson took this picture. All the people watching us just do a warm-up. Trevor found this picture.
I found a picture from the early to mid 60s of a pit. Like there's Don Garlett's trailer up there. I just noticed.
Wow.
There's a lot of.
And so they've got a bunch of fans standing around, but they're working on the motor, having it out
that block's upside down, the oil pan
in the grass.
In the grass. Yep.
There's a head gasket.
There's the idler pulley. Yeah. There's the
pulley. There's a motor pulley. There's the idler, right? Wow, cylinder head there, working on it in the grass upside down, and we have the good fortune we're a little better off than that.
But look how crowded the pits are. I mean that's right. You didn't disconnect from your trailer and then.
Right.
It was was it.
Right.
Unless your tow vehicle was what you pulled it with, but
right.
But anyway, the cameras are hanging from their chests and like their neck, and it's just cool.
It is cool. So then and now, that's got to be early '60s. Just looking at the car, and that was a week ago.
Steering wheel though, big round steering wheel. Got a Tony Nancy seat in there.
Yep, that's cool. And
the clutch can's still on. They just took the whole.
God, doesn't work that way now.
No.
Not the way it works. But anyway, cool picture. Good place to end. So, Trev, thanks for all your help to get this idea launched and our pilot behind us now.
Of course.
And we've got gobs of things to come. Not only people, but improvements and things we have ideas on we just didn't have time to get put together. But I really appreciate y'all following us. You guys have gobs of options and places to be. And if you're here now, you're with cool people because you're cool people, and we appreciate you. Make your day and make my day by liking this thing and by subscribing to us. It would help us, and you'll feel better because you did it. It's awesome. Please help us out.
What helps, too, is when they share it. They
Absolutely.
share it, helps people see stuff. We're gonna have some cool top field drivers on pretty soon.
Yep.
Via Zoom. We're gonna do a
Yep.
different deal.
We'll do a Zoom
I'll be in
deal. We'll
LA.
have
He'll
live
be
people.
here with this. Jack Beckman said he would probably want to do something. He's a former driver, but still a very well-known name.
But that guy's
That guy has
hilarious.
stories
Oh, my
for
God.
days.
And not his stories, but he's a goddamn. He's a comedian. He's hilarious.
He's missed his calling.
Oh my God, he's
He
funny.
is the world's fastest elevator repairman.
Yeah.
Which is the funniest thing to say because that
Yeah.
guy can get in any car right now and go
Oh, he's awesome.
and still drive.
Anyway, he's incredibly talented and successful, and went on to drive some pretty awesome hot rods. So anyway, thanks for helping me put this together and all
course.
the stuff that we did. It's all been awesome. You're gonna take your
I'm taking my whiskey and I'm going home.
Get on the
Take my
road.
whiskey, I'm going home. See you
That's
guys.
all the fun I can handle. So we will close for now and get back with you all soon. Thank you for hanging out with us and spending time with us here. Appreciate you all very much. Talk to you soon.